And we are back now with ABC's exclusive interview with a former high-ranking official in the Church of Scientology who's making sensational charges against some of its leaders. The church is denying all the allegations and taking her to court. Dan Harris sat down with the woman at the center of the firestorm, and he joins us now. Good morning, Dan.
George, good morning to you. This all started with an email from a former high-ranking Scientology official named Debbie Cook criticizing the church. That email went viral. The church sued her, and she is now fighting back by making some headline-generating allegations. Scientology, a church perhaps best known for its celebrity believers like John Travolta, Kirstie Alley, and Tom Cruise. For 17 years, Debbie Cook ran the church's spiritual mecca, the so-called flag base in Clearwater, Florida.
Welcome to the Mecca of Scientology.
But she has now testified in court that during her tenure, she saw behavior exhibited by the leader of the church, David Miscavige, that disturbed her deeply.
One quality that has always set us apart is that we are unselfish.
Miscavige, who's led the church since 1986, is famously close with Tom Cruise.
I have never met a more competent, a more intelligent, a more tolerant, a more compassionate being.
But Debbie Cook has testified she saw Miscavige punch a fellow Scientology executive.
I witnessed Mr. Miscavige physically punching.
He punched him in the face?
Yes.
Had you, the first time you saw?
I've never seen anything like this before. It was inconceivable.
While she says Miscavige never hit her, she did testify that he ordered his secretary to do so. You're in a room with him, and he tells his secretary to slap you?
Yes.
Hard enough that you fell down?
Yes.
Why did he ask her to do this?
Because, you know, he was displeased about how I was answering a question. It wasn't what he wanted to hear in some way.
In repeated letters to ABC News, Scientology officials have denied that David Miscavige ordered Debbie Cook to be slapped or that he punched a fellow executive. In fact, the church sent us a letter signed by the executive in question in which he said, quote, "This alleged incident did not occur." But Cook is not backing down. In her testimony, she goes even further, alleging that in June of 2007, she was forcibly taken by two large men to a place known as The Hole, a pair of double-wide trailers located on Scientology's international base in the California desert.
And when I was there, it had bars on the windows and security guards posted at the one door for entering and exiting. And this is where a number of Scientology executives from management level were held for varying lengths of time.
And when you're in there, can you leave?
No, you cannot.
Cook has testified she was in the hole for 7 weeks, during which time she was repeatedly made to confess her sins.
People are screaming at you, sometimes slapping you. In some cases, sometimes you're made to stand in a trash can and water's poured over you.
That happened to you?
Yes.
Did you break down at all?
I did, yeah. I did, for sure.
The church, which denied our repeated requests for an interview, sent ABC News a letter saying flat out the hole does not exist. The church did say that Cook voluntarily participated in their program of religious discipline, but that she was not taken there by force or held against her will, and that her account of what went on is inaccurate and misleading. When Cook and her husband left the church in the fall of 2007, they signed contracts agreeing not to publicly criticize Scientology or its leaders, in return getting checks for $50,000 apiece.
And you're doing this voluntarily?
But after Cook sent out this email to fellow Scientologists this past New Year's criticizing David Miscavige, the church sued her for breach of contract. Essentially, they're saying that you and your husband are bitter, defrocked apostates, that's their term, and that you're part of a group of heretics.
I have never lost my passion or love for the church and all that it stands for and all that it does to help others. I am doing this to rid it of a situation that has grown out of control.
This is interesting. Repeatedly in our interview, Debbie Cook insisted she is still a dedicated and devout Scientologist and that her complaints have nothing to do with the faith, only its current leadership. According to Scientology officials, however, Debbie Cook is no longer allowed in any of their churches and cannot even call herself a Scientologist.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you, Dan. A lot more tonight
Yes.
on Nightline. And when we come back, Josh's play of the day.